Ambassador Kira Chen stood at the viewport of the diplomatic vessel open hand, watching the massive alien station grow larger against the stars. She had done this 47 times before, 47 first contacts, 47 times she had extended humanity's hand in friendship. Most species had taken it, some had not. The Vorthen were the 48th. "Ambassador, we are receiving their transmission now," said Lieutenant Park from the communications console. His voice was steady and professional, but Kira could see the tension in his shoulders. Everyone knew about the Vorthen. They had conquered 11 star systems in the past century. They had enslaved 6 species. They did not negotiate. They did not share. They only took. "Put it through," Kira said. The holographic display flickered to life, showing a Vorthen commander. His species looked like someone had combined a spider with a crocodile and then decided to make it worse. 8 limbs, scaled body, and a face full of teeth that seemed designed specifically to cause nightmares. His uniform was decorated with small bones. Kira did not want to know where those bones came from. "Human vessel," the commander said through the translator. "You enter Vorthen space. You will surrender your ship and your crew. You will become property of the Vorthen Empire. This is not a request." Kira smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile she wore when she knew exactly what was about to happen. "Commander, my name is Kira Chen. I am an ambassador of the United Earth Government. I am here to offer friendship between our peoples." The Vorthen commander made a sound that might have been laughter. "Friendship. The Vorthen do not have friends. We have servants and enemies. You will be servants." "I understand that is your current position," Kira said calmly. "However, I am required by law to make this offer clearly and completely. Will you listen?" The commander leaned forward. His many eyes gleamed with what looked like cruel amusement. "Speak, little human. Speak your words of friendship. It will make your slavery more amusing." Kira took a breath. She had given this speech 47 times. It never got easier, but it never got less important either. "The United Earth Government offers friendship to all species we encounter. We offer trade, cultural exchange, scientific cooperation, and mutual defense. We ask for nothing in return except that you treat us as equals and respect the rights of all sentient beings. This includes the species you have currently enslaved. We ask that you free them and allow them to determine their own futures." The commander's laughter filled the bridge. It was an ugly sound like bones breaking. "You ask us to give up our property. You ask the strong to bow to the weak. You humans are more foolish than we believed." "I am not finished," Kira said. Her voice had grown colder now. "If you refuse our friendship, if you continue to enslave others, if you threaten humanity or our allies, then we offer you something else. We offer you devastation. Complete, absolute, and final." The laughter stopped abruptly. The commander's many eyes narrowed to slits. "You threaten us. One small ship threatens the Vorthen Empire." "This is not a threat," Kira said. "This is a promise. And this ship is not alone. Behind me, waiting for my signal, is the 3rd Fleet of the United Earth Navy, 147 warships. If you look at your sensors, you will see them arriving now." The commander glanced at something off-screen. His scaled face did something that might have been surprise or fear. It was hard to tell with Vorthen, but Kira had learned to read the subtle signs over years of diplomatic work. "You would not dare attack us," he said, but his voice had lost some of its confidence. "We are the Vorthen. We have conquered a dozen worlds. And we have made peace with 47 species," Kira said. "But 7 times we have been forced to make war instead. Do you know what happened to those 7 species, Commander?" Silence filled the communication channel. "I will tell you," Kira continued. 3 of them saw reason after we demonstrated our capabilities. They accepted friendship. They are now valued allies who help us explore the galaxy. 1 species chose to flee rather than fight. We let them go in peace. But 3 species refused both friendship and retreat. They chose to fight us to the end." She paused, letting the silence stretch. Those three species no longer exist. The commander's many limbs shifted uncomfortably. You expect me to believe that humans, barely spacefaring for 2 centuries, have destroyed entire civilizations? I expect you to verify it, Kira said. Check your records, the Krethix hegemony, the Malachar Dominion, the Zither Collective. All of them refused our offer of friendship. All of them thought they could conquer us. All of them are now nothing but debris and memory. The Krethix were destroyed by a plague, the commander said. The Malachar fell to civil war. The Zither simply disappeared. The Zither attacked our colony on New Berlin, Kira interrupted. They killed 43,000 civilians, including 11,000 children. They broadcast the massacre to every human world as a warning. Do you know what we did in response? The commander did not answer. We found their homeworld, we found their colonies, we found every ship, every station, every outpost they had ever built, and then we burned them all, every single one. It took us 8 months. We lost 200,000 soldiers, but when we were done there were no more Zither, not one, not anywhere in the galaxy. Kira stepped closer to the holographic display. Her eyes were hard as stone. We did not want to do this. We mourned for months afterward. We built memorials not just to our dead but to theirs as well, because we understand that war is tragedy. We understand that every death is a loss, but we also understand that there are beings in this universe who will not stop taking, will not stop killing, will not stop enslaving unless someone stops them. And if no one else will do it, then we will. The commander was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different, smaller, more careful. What exactly are you offering? Kira felt something unclench in her chest. This was the moment. This was when everything could change. Freedom for all enslaved species in your empire. A seat at the Galactic Council we are forming. Trade agreements that will make your people wealthier than conquest ever could. Technology sharing that will advance your civilization by centuries. Medical advances that will extend your lifespans. Cultural exchange that will enrich your art and philosophy. And most importantly, peace. Real peace. Not the silence of fear, but the harmony of mutual respect. And if we refuse, then we will destroy your military capability. We will free the enslaved species ourselves. And we will leave your people alive but broken to rebuild as best they can. We do not exterminate unless we have no choice, but we will stop you, one way or another. The commander's eyes flickered. Kira could see him calculating, weighing options, measuring probabilities. I must speak with the High Council, he said finally. You have one standard day, Kira said. My fleet will wait, but not forever. The transmission ended. Kira let out a long breath and turned to face her crew. They were all watching her with expressions ranging from admiration to worry. Well done, Ambassador, Lieutenant Park said quietly. Do you think they will accept? Kira looked back at the viewport, at the massive Vorthen station, at the stars beyond. I hope so, she said. I really hope so. 24 hours. That was how long the Vorthen had to decide the fate of their empire. 24 hours to choose between friendship and devastation. Kira went to her quarters and tried to sleep, but sleep would not come. Instead, she reviewed the files on the Vorthen. Their history, their culture, their crimes. 6 species enslaved. Millions of beings working in mines and factories, their lives spent in service to masters who saw them as nothing more than tools. She thought about the children born into slavery, never knowing freedom. She thought about the families torn apart, the cultures destroyed, the hope extinguished. And she thought about what humanity would do if the Vorthen refused their offer. She did not sleep that night. The Vorthen council chamber was designed to intimidate. It sat deep within their station, a vast circular room with seats rising in tiers around a central platform. Hundreds of Vorthen officials, military commanders and nobles filled those seats, all of them staring down at the single human who stood in the center. Kira Chen stood alone. She had insisted on it. No guards, no weapons, no armor. Just her uniform, and her words. Some of her staff had called her crazy, but she knew that showing fear or distrust would only weaken her position. The High Sovereign of the Vorthan Empire sat on the highest tier. He was ancient by Vorthan standards. His scales faded to a dull gray, but his eyes were sharp and cold. When he spoke, the entire chamber fell silent instantly. Human ambassador, you come to our home and demand that we change our entire way of life. You threaten us with destruction if we refuse. This is not diplomacy. This is extortion. Kira did not flinch. High Sovereign, I understand how it appears, but I ask you to consider something important. In the 200 years since humanity left Earth, we have made contact with hundreds of species. Most of them were weaker than us. We could have conquered them easily. We could have enslaved them. We chose not to. Because you are weak, someone called from the tiers. Because you lack the will to dominate. Because we learned the hard way what domination costs, Kira replied. She turned slowly, addressing the entire chamber. Before we reached the stars, humans spent thousands of years conquering each other. We built empires on the bones of the conquered. We enslaved millions of our own kind. And do you know what we learned from all that suffering? Every empire falls. Every system of oppression collapses. The only thing that conquest builds is the seeds of its own destruction. The High Sovereign leaned forward, and yet you threaten to destroy us. Only if you force us to. We do not want war. We do not want conquest. We want partners, allies, friends. We want a galaxy where every species can thrive, where children do not grow up as property, where the strong protect the weak instead of exploiting them. A fantasy, the High Sovereign said. The universe does not work that way. It can, Kira said firmly, if we choose to make it so. A Vorthan commander stood up. Kira recognized him as the one from the transmission. High Sovereign, I have verified the humans' claims. The Krethiks, the Malachar, the Zithar, all are gone. The records were hidden or misattributed, but the truth is clear. The humans did not lie. They are capable of exactly what they promise. Murmurs rippled through the chamber like waves across water. And the species who accepted their friendship, the High Sovereign asked. Thriving, the commander said, though the words seemed to pain him. The Velari Federation has doubled its economic output since joining the Human Alliance. The Keithrani have advanced 3 technological generations. Even the Moxari, who were on the verge of extinction, have rebuilt their civilization with human assistance. You see, Kira said, friendship benefits everyone. Conquest only benefits the conqueror and only temporarily. Eventually, the conquered rise up. Eventually, the oppressor falls. This is the lesson of history, not just human history, but the history of every species we have encountered. The High Sovereign was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was tired. You ask us to release our servants. Without them, our economy collapses. Our way of life ends. Generations of tradition become meaningless. Your way of life is built on suffering, Kira said gently. Yes, change will be difficult. Yes, it will be painful, but we will help you through it. We will provide technology to replace slave labor. We will offer trade agreements to stabilize your economy. We will work with you every step of the way. This is what friendship means. And if some of us refuse, if some choose to fight rather than change. Kira's expression hardened slightly. Then they will face the same choice we offer to everyone. Friendship first. Always friendship first. But if they choose violence, they will find us ready, and they will not find us merciful. A young Vorthan noble stood up. Unlike the others, she did not wear bone decorations. Her scales were a deep blue, and her eyes held intelligence and curiosity. I have a question for the human. Ask, Kira said. You speak of friendship and peace, but you also speak of destroying entire species. How do you reconcile these things? How can you claim to value life while being willing to end it so completely? It was a good question. Kira had asked herself the same thing many times over the years. "I will tell you a story," she said. "When I was young, there was a man in my village who hurt children. Everyone knew it. Everyone whispered about it, but no one stopped him. He was powerful and wealthy. He had friends in important places. And so the children kept suffering year after year." The chamber was silent. Even the Vorthen seemed to understand what she was describing. "One day my mother could not stand it anymore. She went to the authorities. She demanded justice. And when the authorities did nothing, she took justice herself. She exposed everything he had done. She destroyed his reputation, his power, his ability to hurt anyone ever again. It cost her greatly, but she did it anyway." Kira looked around the chamber. Some people called her cruel. Some said she should have been more diplomatic, more patient. But my mother understood something important. When someone is hurting the innocent and they refuse to stop, then stopping them is not cruelty. It is kindness to everyone they would have hurt in the future. She turned back to the young noble. "We do not enjoy destruction. We mourn every life lost, even the lives of our enemies. But we will not stand by and watch the innocent suffer. If the only way to protect them is to fight, then we will fight. And if the only way to ensure they are never threatened again is to destroy those who threaten them, then we will destroy. Not happily, not proudly, but determinedly." The young noble sat down slowly. Her expression was thoughtful, considering. The High Sovereign spoke again. "You are a strange species, humans. You speak of love and destruction in the same breath. You offer the hand of friendship while holding a weapon behind your back." "The weapon is not hidden," Kira said. "It is clearly displayed for all to see. Everyone we meet knows exactly what we offer and what we threaten. This is honesty. This is respect. We do not pretend to be something we are not. We are compassionate, but we are not harmless. We are peaceful, but we are not passive. And if we accept your friendship, what guarantee do we have that you will not turn on us later when we are vulnerable?" Kira smiled. For the first time since entering the chamber, it was a genuine smile. "Come to Earth," she said. "Visit our cities, meet our people. See how the Velari live among us, how the Keithrani trade with us, how dozens of species have found a home in our alliance. Judge for yourself whether we keep our promises." The High Sovereign exchanged glances with his advisors. Something unspoken passed between them. The tension in the chamber shifted slightly. "We will need time to discuss," he said finally. "This decision cannot be made quickly. It affects every aspect of our civilization." "I understand," Kira said. "We are patient. We have waited 200 years to build the alliance we have. We can wait a little longer for one more member." As she was escorted out of the chamber, Kira caught the young noble's eye. The Vorthen inclined her head slightly. It might have been respect. It might have been curiosity. Either way, it was a start. The waiting was the hardest part. 3 weeks passed while the Vorthen debated and argued and calculated. 3 weeks of uncertainty and hope and fear. During that time, Kira met with various Vorthen factions. Some wanted to fight. They were proud warriors who saw surrender as shameful. Some wanted to flee, to abandon their empire and start fresh somewhere beyond human reach. But many, especially the younger generations, were curious about this strange species that offered friendship and devastation in equal measure. The young noble from the council chamber sought Kira out one evening. Her name was Thrix, and she was the daughter of a powerful family that had grown wealthy from slave labor. "I have been studying your history," Thrix said. They sat in a quiet observation room watching the stars. "You were slaves once. Your ancestors were bought and sold like property." "Some of them, yes," Kira said. "Humans have been both slaves and slavers throughout our history. We have been victims and oppressors, heroes and villains. We contain all possibilities within us. And yet you fight against slavery now. Why?" "Because we remember what it was like. The stories of suffering were passed down through generations. We swore that we would never let it happen again, not to us and not to anyone else." Thrix was quiet for a moment. My family has owned servants for 12 generations. I grew up believing it was natural, that some beings were meant to serve and others to command. Now you tell me this was wrong. What do you think? Kira asked. I think, Thrix hesitated. I think of my personal servant, a Kelari named Sin. She has served me since I was a child. She taught me to walk. She comforted me when I was afraid. She has been more of a mother to me than my own mother. And how does Sen feel about serving you? I never asked, Thrix admitted. I never thought to ask. She was just there, part of my life, part of our household. Maybe you should ask her now, Kira said gently. 3 days later, Thrix came to Kira again. Her eyes were red, as if she had been crying, and her movements were stiff with barely contained emotion. I asked Sin, she said. I asked her how she felt about serving my family. What did she say? She said she loves me like a daughter. She said taking care of me has given her life meaning, but she also said, Thrix's voice broke. She also said she dreams of going home. She has a family, a world, children she has never met. She was taken when she was young, and she has spent her entire life serving others. She never complained because complaining would only bring punishment, but she dreams of being free. Kira said nothing. Sometimes silence was more powerful than words. I told her she is free, Thrix continued. I told her she can leave whenever she wants. I will help her return to her world, find her family. And what did she say? She cried. She held me and cried and said she never thought this day would come. Thrix looked at Kira with something like wonder. One conversation, one simple question, and everything changed. That is how it starts, Kira said. One conversation at a time, one freed slave at a time, one changed heart at a time. When the Vorthan High Council finally announced their decision, the entire galaxy held its breath. Ambassadors from a dozen species watched the broadcast. Human fleets stood ready for any outcome. The High Sovereign stood before his people and spoke words that would be remembered for generations. The Vorthan Empire will release all enslaved species. We will join the Galactic Council. We will accept humanity's friendship. The reaction was immediate and mixed. Some Vorthan cheered, others wept with rage. Several military commanders attempted a coup, hoping to preserve the old ways, but they were outnumbered and outmaneuvered. The human Third Fleet helped put down the rebellion, not by conquest, but by standing alongside the Vorthan forces who had chosen peace. Human and Vorthan soldiers fought side by side against those who would rather destroy everything than change. When it was over, Ambassador Kira Chen stood on the observation deck of the Vorthan station, watching the first slave transports depart. Beside her stood Thrix, who had become an unexpected ally. I still do not entirely understand your species, Thrix said. You are soft and compassionate, yet you are harder than any conqueror we have ever faced. Kira watched the transports disappear into the stars. Each one carried beings who had lived their entire lives in chains and were now, finally, free. Compassion is not weakness, she said. It takes far more strength to build than to destroy. It takes more courage to offer friendship than to demand submission. We learned this the hard way, over thousands of years of making mistakes. And the devastation you promise to those who refuse. Also compassion, Kira said quietly. Compassion for all the people who would suffer if we did nothing. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is stop someone from hurting others, even if that requires terrible force. Thrix was silent for a moment, considering this. I think I am beginning to understand. Your species does not separate love and war. They are the same thing to you, two expressions of the same fundamental drive. Kira considered this perspective. Perhaps. We love life too much to let it be extinguished. We love freedom too much to let it be stolen. And we love the future too much to let it be shaped by cruelty and fear. And what do you love about the Vorthan? Thrix asked. There was genuine curiosity in her voice. Kira turned to face her. I love your potential. I love who you could become. Today, the first slaves are flying to freedom. In a generation, children will be born on your worlds who have never known chains. In a century, your people may have completely forgotten what it was like to be conquerors. That is what I love. That is what we fight for. Not the universe as it is, but the universe as it could be. The news spread across the galaxy like fire through dry grass. The Vorthan, the most feared conquerors in known space, had surrendered without a battle. They had freed their slaves. They had joined humanity's alliance. Every species that heard the news asked the same question. How? How had the humans done what countless others had failed to do? The answer changed everything. On the agricultural world of Kelly's prime, the farmers looked up from their fields when the human delegation arrived. They were a simple people, the Kelisari, four-armed herbivores who had been growing crops for 10,000 years. They had no weapons, no warships, no technology beyond what was needed to tend their gardens. Ambassador Marcus Webb stepped off his shuttle and breathed in the sweet air. He loved first contact missions. Every new species was a new possibility, a new friend waiting to be made. "Welcome to our humble world," said the elder, a silver-furred Kelisari who leaned heavily on a wooden staff. "We have heard of humans. We have heard that you offer friendship to all who ask." "We do," Marcus said, kneeling so that he was at eye level with the shorter being. "We offer friendship, trade, protection, and partnership. All we ask in return is that you treat us as equals and respect the rights of all sentient beings." The elder's eyes widened with surprise. "That is all? You ask for nothing else? No tribute, no service?" "That is all." "And if we refuse?" Marcus smiled gently. "Why would you refuse? But if you did, we would leave peacefully. You are no threat to anyone. We do not force friendship on those who do not want it." The elder looked at his people. They looked back at him. Something seemed to pass between them, some ancient understanding. "We have been visited by others before," the elder said slowly. "They came with weapons and demands. They called themselves the Draveni. They demanded tribute. They took our young to work in their mines and factories. We gave them what they wanted because we had no choice." Marcus felt his jaw tighten with anger. Who were they? The Draveni Empire. They control many worlds in this region of space. They come every cycle to collect what they call taxes, but it is really just theft. They will be here again in 3 days. Marcus stood up slowly. He touched the communicator on his collar. "Admiral Kowalski, we have a situation. I need the 4th Fleet here within 48 hours. When the Draveni collection fleet arrived 3 days later, they found something unexpected. Instead of terrified Kelisari waiting to hand over their tribute, they found a human battle cruiser in orbit and a human ambassador standing calmly in the main square. The Draveni commander descended with a contingent of armed soldiers. He was a massive being, reptilian, armored in ceremonial plate that bore the symbols of a dozen conquered worlds. His eyes fixed on Marcus with contempt. "Human, you are interfering with Draveni territory. Leave now or face the consequences." "This world is not Draveni territory," Marcus said calmly. "It belongs to the Kelisari. It has belonged to them for 10,000 years. The Kelisari are our subjects. Their world is ours by right of conquest." "Conquest is not a right, it is theft." The commander's soldiers raised their weapons. Marcus did not move. "You will leave now," the commander said, "or you will die here in this field." Marcus smiled. It was the same smile Kira Chen wore when she knew exactly what was about to happen. "I have an alternative proposal," he said. "Leave this world. Never return. Free any Kelisari you have taken. In exchange, humanity offers you friendship, trade, and a place in our alliance." The commander's laugh was like breaking glass. "You threaten us, one ship against the Draveni Empire." "I do not threaten, I promise. Friendship first, always friendship first. But if you choose violence, you will find us ready." The commander raised his weapon. He never fired. From orbit, the human battlecruiser sent a precision strike that vaporized the weapon in his hand. He screamed, clutching his burned fingers, while his soldiers looked around in terror. "That was a warning," Marcus said. "The next shot will not be so gentle. Now I will ask again, will you accept our friendship?" The commander stared at him with pure hatred. But he also saw the battlecruiser hanging in the sky, saw his soldiers trembling, saw the Kelisari watching with hope in their eyes for the first time in generations. "You will regret this," he said, but he retreated to his shuttle. His soldiers followed. As the Draveney fleet fled, the elder approached Marcus. There were tears in his ancient eyes. "Why?" he asked. "Why would you do this for us? We have nothing to offer you. We are simple farmers." Marcus knelt again. "You offered us your trust. That is more valuable than any treasure. And besides, we do not help others because of what they can give us. We help them because it is right." The elder reached out and touched Marcus's face with one gentle hand. "You are strange beings, humans, gentle and terrible all at once, kind and fierce in equal measure. I do not know whether to embrace you or fear you." "Embrace us," Marcus said. "We would be honored to call you friends." Word of what happened on Kelly's Prime spread even faster than the Vorthan news. The Draveney Empire demanded retaliation. They assembled their war fleet. They prepared to teach the humans a lesson about interfering in their affairs. It was a mistake they would not live to repeat. The Battle of Draven Prime lasted 4 hours. Humanity did not enjoy war. They did not celebrate it. They did not seek it out. But when they fought with everything they had and everything they were. The Draveney fleet was larger. It had more ships, more soldiers, more firepower. But the humans had something else. They had determination born from centuries of conflict. They had coordination developed through endless training. And they had experience fighting against those who thought conquest was their natural right. Admiral Yuki Tanaka commanded the human fleet from the bridge of the flagship Unyielding Hope. She watched the tactical display with calm eyes as her ships moved in perfect synchronization. "All ships remember why we fight," she said over the fleet-wide channel. "Not for conquest, not for glory, not for territory, for the Kelisari who want only to tend their gardens in peace, for the slaves in the Draveney mines who dream of freedom, for every species who has ever suffered under tyranny. We fight to end the cycle. We fight so that no one has to fight again." The battle was fierce and costly. Human ships burned in the void. Human soldiers died on the decks of enemy vessels. But for every human ship lost, 4 Draveney warships fell. When the Draveney flagship was disabled and boarded, Admiral Tanaka personally received the surrender. "You could have avoided this," she told the Draveney Emperor who knelt before her in chains. "We offered friendship. We offered peace. You chose war instead." "We are conquerors," the Emperor said bitterly. "It is what we are. It is what we have always been." "It is what you were," Tanaka corrected. "Now you are something else. Now you are free." "Free, I am your prisoner." "Temporarily, but your people are free. Free from the cycle of conquest, free from the burden of maintaining an empire built on suffering, free to discover who they might become when they are not defined by who they have dominated." The Emperor looked at her with something like confusion. "You do not want to rule us. You do not want our territory. We want to befriend you, if you will let us. If not, we will leave you in peace and hope that someday you find a better way to live." The Emperor was silent for a long time. When he spoke, his voice was quiet and almost humble. "I do not understand your species at all." Tanaka smiled. "That is okay. Understanding takes time, but we are patient. We have all the time in the universe." In the years that followed, the Galactic Alliance grew larger and stronger with each passing cycle. Species that had once been enemies became partners. Former conquerors learned new ways to find meaning. Former slaves rebuilt their civilizations with help from those who had once oppressed them. Not all stories had happy endings. Some species refused friendship and refused to change. Some were destroyed. Some fled to the edges of known space, nursing their hatred, plotting revenge that would never come. But fewer and fewer chose that path as the years passed. The message spread across every inhabited world. Humanity offered friendship first and devastation to anyone who refused that gift. It was not a threat. It was simply a statement of fact. And more species decided that friendship was the better choice. 20 years after first contact with the Vorthan, Ambassador Kira Chen gave a speech at the dedication of the Galactic Unity Monument. It was built on a world that had once been a Vorthan slave colony and was now home to 12 different species living in harmony. When humanity first reached the stars, she said, we did not know what we would find. We hoped for friends. We prepared for enemies. What we found was both and everything in between. She looked out at the crowd, at the faces of 100 different species gathered together in peace. Some called us naive for offering friendship so freely. Some called us cruel for responding to violence with greater violence. Both criticisms had some truth. We are both naive and cruel. We are both dreamers and warriors. We are both gentle and terrible. She paused, letting her words settle over the vast crowd. But we are also determined. Determined to build a galaxy where every child can grow up in safety, where every species can reach its full potential, where friendship is not weakness and peace is not surrender. Her voice grew stronger with passion. We have not achieved that galaxy yet. Perhaps we never will completely, but every day we get a little closer. Every friendship formed is a victory. Every war prevented is a triumph. Every former enemy who becomes an ally is proof that change is possible. She raised her hand, and across the crowd, members of 100 species raised their hands in response. The gesture had become a symbol of the alliance, a sign of shared purpose and mutual respect. So we continue. We offer friendship first, always first. And to anyone who refuses that gift, who insists on conquest and cruelty and domination, we offer something else. Not out of hatred, not out of anger, but out of love for all the beings who would suffer if we did nothing. The crowd began to cheer. We are humanity, Kira Chen said. We love too much to let the innocent suffer. We hope too fiercely to accept despair. And we fight too hard to ever give up. The cheering grew louder, voices from 100 worlds joining together. Welcome to the Alliance, welcome to the family, welcome to the future. And across the galaxy, on 1,000 worlds, beings of every shape and size heard her words and began to believe that perhaps, just perhaps, the universe could be better than it had ever been. All it took was the courage to offer friendship first, and the strength to defend it when friendship was refused. In the centuries that followed, the Galactic Alliance continued to grow. New species were discovered and welcomed. Old conflicts were healed and forgiven. The darkness that had once covered the galaxy slowly gave way to light. Kira Chen did not live to see all of it. No human lives forever. But before she died, she wrote a final message that was carved into the base of the Unity Monument. Came from a small blue world carrying all our flaws and all our hopes. We offered what we had to give, our friendship, our strength, our love. Some accepted, some refused, but we never stopped offering. We never gave up on the dream of a better universe. And in the end, that stubbornness, that relentless hope, that refusal to accept darkness as inevitable, that was our greatest gift to the galaxy. Not our weapons, not our technology. Our faith that tomorrow could be better than today. Visitors to the monument often stood before those words in silence, reading them over and over, trying to understand the strange species that had changed everything. Humanity offered friendship first and devastation to anyone who refused that gift. It was a simple truth, and it had built a civilization that stretched across the stars.